Allah put barakah in his time. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalam ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wa mursaleen. Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna ma yanfa'una. Allahumma zidna 'ilman innaka anta 'alimul hakim. اللهم اجعل هذه المحاضرة حجة لنا لا حجة علينا يا رب العالمين أما بعد. We're starting the chapter باب الأذان والإقامة. باب الأذان والإقامة. Does anyone know what the adhan is? What is the adhan? The call to prayer. What is the iqamah? What's the difference between the adhan and the iqamah? To start the prayer. Right. The word adhan, it means i'lan. I'lan is to inform. To inform. Right? For shara' in the sharia, the meaning of al-adhan, i'lamun bi dukhul al-waqt as-salat. The adhan, it means it's the indicator that it is the entrance for the time of salat. The adhan is an indicator that it marks the entrance for the time of the salah. أو قربه للفجر بذكر مخصوص. Or it's an indicator of it being time. It's an indicator of the time being close to Salat al-Fajr. So, for example, when we have Salat al-Dhuhr, mathalan, for example, Salat al-Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha, when the adhan is called, it represents the beginning of that Salat. Yani, the Salat came in at that point in time. When we're talking about Salat al-Fajr, there is a adhan, or adhan sometimes is called before Salat al-Fajr. There's adhan sometimes called before, Qurb min al-Waqt, Qurb lil-Fajr. Yani before Salat al-Fajr has also been reported that the adhan was called. It doesn't mean that the adhan was called before Fajr and not for the time of Fajr as well. La. If any of you had the opportunity to live in some of the lands of the Muslims, specifically Mecca, for example, they'll call two adhans. You'll hear adhan before Fajr, and then you'll hear the adhan for Fajr. بِذِكْرٍ مَخْصُوص. Calling the adhan is specific sayings that a person must say when they call the adhan. Al-Iqamah. What is Al-Iqamah? What does that mean? The call of prayer. So what's the difference between the adhan and the Iqamah?
That's the first one for the time.
The first one's for the time. طيب. Huh? دخول الوقت. طيب. What's the الثاني? Okay. The starting, you said the cheese? The cheese. Okay, that's a new one. The cheese. طيب. So the iqama is إعلام بالقيام على الصلاة. The iqama is an indicator that the salat is to be established right now. So the iqama marks the start of that particular prayer. That marks the start of that particular prayer. An-Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam, he said in authentic hadith, Al-Mu'adhinuna atwalu nasi a'naqa yawm al-qiyamah, rawahu Muslim. It was reported in authentic hadith of Sahih Muslim, where the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, he said the mu'adhin, atwalu nas a'naqa. The mu'adhin on the day of judgment, he will have the longest neck on the day of judgment, on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Right. So then, what is the adhan? What is the iqamah? Or what are they? What do they mean? And what are the rulings as it relates to them? So, in our book that we're covering, Zaad Al-Mustaq'ni, Kitab al-Salat, from Imam Al-Hajjawi, he mentions huma means two of them, the iqama and the adhan, or the adhan and the iqama, farada kifaya. The adhan and the iqama are farada kifaya. Both of them are communal obligations. Communal obligations. Like, what is Fard Kifaya? What does that mean? Does anyone know? Huh?
That's mean if somebody say, okay, Iqama, they call it Iqama.
Aywa?
That's good enough for it, but everyone. They didn't have to be, everybody point that out, out of Salat.
Right. What's the difference between Fardu Kifaya or Fardu Ain? What's the difference between the two?
For the aim, that means everybody have to do it.
Right. Atin Mithal.
Huh?
Give me an example.
If one person make a Iqama,
Aywa?
okay, it don't have to be everybody have to make a Iqama.
So if one person makes the Iqama, does it mean that you close?
Yeah,
All right, so let's say this. Fardu Kifaya. If a Muslim passes away, and we know this person to be Muslim, then it is Fardu Kifaya that the Muslims pray over him. What that means is someone from among the Muslims need to be able to establish the prayer upon that person. If no one from the Muslims pray on that person, then there's a sin on everyone. Is that clear? Likewise with the Iqama. Likewise with the Athan. The Athan is Fardu Kifaya, and the Iqama likewise is Fardu Kifaya. Ish yani, it means that if a person does not establish them, and it is left off in entirety, then the sin is upon all of the Muslims. Is that clear? طيب. Fardu Ain. Right. Fardu Ain is something that is obligatory upon every Muslim. No one can do it. Let's say, for example, Salatul Fajr, Salatul Dhuhr, all of the 5 salawat. You cannot pray on my behalf. Rather, the salat is obligatory upon everyone. Likewise, fasting Ramadan. You can't fast on my behalf. Every person has to fulfill that. This is Fardu Ain. It's something that is Fardu Ain on every Muslim. Right? Communal obligation means as long as certain people or some people from the community, they're able to do this thing, then the sin is removed from everyone else. Is that clear? So then the Shaykh Rahimahullah, he says, Huma faroda kifaya. The Adhan and the Iqama are faroda kifaya. Both of them are communal obligations. Upon who? Ala rijal. The Shaykh Rahimahullah, he mentions ar-rijal. Ar-rijal is a plural form of men. So the understanding of this is that it is not upon women to make the adhan or the iqama when they are praying. That's number one. Number two, when they say ar-rijal, what's also understood by that is if a person is praying by themselves, then the adhan and the iqama may not be necessary because he is by themselves. According to the Shaykh Rahimahullah, that they are faroda kifaya ala rijal, they use plural. And so some of the ulama say this is for a jama', if a person is praying in congregation. طيب. The second one, للمقيمين. So then, الرجال المقيمين للصلوات الخمس المكتوبة. They say the next one is they must be muqim. In other words, if they are traveling, some of the ulama mentioned if they are traveling, then they may not have to establish the adhan and the iqama because they're traveling. للصلوات الخمس. The adhan and the iqama is for the 5 salawat. The 5 salawat al-maktuba. The 5 salawat that are obligatory upon every Muslim to pray them. Ada'an la qada'an. Ada'an yani means that it is prayed in its proper time. Qada'an means that the salat was prayed outside of its prescribed time. An example would be what? Right now it's time for Salatul Maghrib. The brother said he didn't pray Salatul Asr. He missed Salatul Asr. So here in the Adhan, he missed Salatul Asr and Salatul Dhuhr. So he's praying them during the time of Maghrib. Perhaps maybe he will call one Adhan and pray both of those Salat. Does that make sense? So then, the Adhan and the Iqamah are for what? The Salawat that are Maktuba. That when a person prays them, they are praying them Ada'an, yani in that particular time. In that particular time. With regards to them praying the Salat that is not during that particular time, there's some of the ulama differ with regards to them having to call the Adhan or the Iqamah. But, and also understand the Salat in Islam is very important, extremely important. So much so that the Shaykh, he mentioned, يُقَاتَلُ أَهْلُ بَلَدٍ تَرَكُوهُمَا. That if a group of the Muslims did not establish the Adhan and the Iqamah, then they were fought. Then they were fought during those times, that they would be fought. That people would fight them if they did not establish the Adhan and the Iqamah. طيب. The Shaykh Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he also mentions تَحْرَمُ أُجْرَتُهُمَا. It is haram for a person to take a salary when they call the Adhan and the Iqamah. It is haram for them to take a salary for calling the Adhan and the Iqamah. However, they make sure this is clear. لا رزق من بيت المال لعدم متطوع. We have something in Islam called Bayt al-Mal al-Muslimin. Bayt al-Mal, we don't have this here in America, but if we're living in Muslim countries, they have something called Bayt al-Mal al-Muslimin. Bayt al-Mal, you can say it's something like a pot of money on reserve for anything that the Muslims need. Perhaps fixing a masjid, fixing the roads, so on and so forth. This money is the community money, the money for the Muslims in general. It's like the reserve money that the Muslims have. So they say that it is haram for a mu'adhin and one who calls the Iqamah to receive a salary for calling the Adhan. However, it is not haram to give the money from Bayt al-Mal, from the reserve of the money of the Muslims, as long as there is no one present to do it without any money at all. Does that make sense? So what does that look like? Let's say, for example, the masjid wanted to hire this brother, he's a good mu'adhin, they wanted to hire this person to be the mu'adhin in the masjid. Aslan, this is haram. We cannot put this person on a salary to call the adhan. Like, labats. There's no one else in the masjid to call the adhan. This brother here, he's busy, but he will take time out of his day. The masjid cannot give him a salary for this, but he can get salary from Bayt al-Mal al-Muslimin, from the reserve for the Muslim fund. He can be given, a stipend, if you will, for doing that from Bayt al-Mal. If we cannot find a person that want to do it just because they want to follow the sunnah and they don't want any money for it at all. Is that clear? So then, if there's a person present that is willing to do it for nothing, then you let that person do it and they get the reward. If there's a person that says he will do it, but he needs some money from Bayt al-Mal al-Muslimin, from the wealth of the Muslims, then in this case, that person is given the money in the absence of the person that will do it for free. Is that clear? Like, any questions about that?
If this kind of thing, sometimes, they need, how to clean it,
Hey?
And, they hire, some kind of, مؤذن يأذن يعمل الشغل في المسجد يصلح ينظف.
Right.
هذا انت يخير صدق.
Right now we're talking about the adhan and the iqamah. You're talking about people that do work in the masjid.
هو مؤذن وبيشتغل في المسجد.
Lakin al-mal, the money that he gets, is it for being a mu'adhin or is it for working in the masjid? One of the things about contracts, they have to be very clear. right? If you're doing a contract in Islam, you can't have two. He's hired for two things, but you don't know what he's hired for, and you don't know what money is being paid. This is not how you do that. It has to be very clear. You can't say he's a mu'adhin and then he's working in the masjid, but we're paying him, but we don't know whether we're paying him for the adhan or are we paying him to work in the masjid. That's hada mushkila. Fahamt? So that's a problem. When you're doing that, if he's working in the masjid, it should stipulate that in the contract. Fulan ibn Fulan works in the masjid that does this. And we're paying him this for this. As far as him calling the adhan, that's something separate. Or it could be understood that him being calling the adhan is also part of that. So that's some ambiguity in the contract. Have the mayasir. Mayasir's have it. Contracts in Islam have to be very clear. طيب. The next one, يقول الشيخ يكون مؤذن صيتا أمينا عالما بالوقت. So now the Shaykh rahimahullah, he's given us the description of the mu'adhin. Who should be the mu'adhin? So he starts off by saying يكون مؤذن صيتا. The mu'adhin, he has to have a loud voice. A loud voice, a strong voice. So we have to understand from the mu'adhin, and these are sunnah. This is a sunnah, not necessarily wajib, but this is what you're looking for. The person to have a strong voice. Aminan. Aminan, yani a person that is amin, trustworthy. Why does he have to be trustworthy? What's the importance? Why? If you're calling the adhan in the masjid, why does that person have to be considered trustworthy? Does anyone know? Huh? Why is it important for him to be trustworthy? He's standing before Allah. طيب. Huh? Ahsant. This is because the person, think about the power that a mu'adhin has. If we lived in the land of the Muslims, the adhan is outside in the streets. Everyone's fasting. The day's Monday. He calls the adhan. It's not the time for the salat. People are breaking their fast off of listening to the adhan. This is why that person must be ameen. He must be ameen wa aliman bil waqt. He must be knowledgeable of the times of the salah. He must be trustworthy and knowledgeable of the times of the salah. طيب. فإن تشاح فيه اثنان. So say for example, we have two people that have the same characteristics. Which one will you put forward to call the adhan and the iqamah? Who would you put forward? So they give us a list how to choose between two people if they have similar qualities. Which one do you put in front of the people? So the Shaykh rahimahullah, he says, فَإِن تَشَاحَ فِيهِ إِثْنَانِ قُدِّمْ أَفْضَلَهُمَا فِيهِ. If two people are the same, they have the same qualities, then you put forth whoever calls the adhan the best from them two. Whoever calls it the best from those two. Then if suppose they both are the same in how they call the adhan. So then he says, ثُمَّ أَفْضَلُهُمَا فِي دِينِهِ وَعَقْلِهِ. Then he says, okay, if that's the same, then you choose the best from among them in their religion and in their intellect. In their religion and in their intellect. He says, ثُمَّ, and let's say for example, then they're the same. Their religion is of a certain quality and their intellect is likewise of a certain quality. ثُمَّ مَنْ يَخْتَارَهُ الْجِيرَانِ. Then, in that case, if they are the same with regards to that, then the next level is the neighbors, the people in the community choose who is the best from among them. And if they are not allowed, if they are not able to choose after that, then the next thing they do is something called a qur'ah. Does anyone know what a qur'ah is? Huh? A qur'ah. Does anyone know? No one. A qur'ah. Let's say, for example, let's make it easy. Let's say, for example, you put a name in a hat. A qur'ah would be like some sticks. One stick is short, one stick is long, one stick is in the medium. You hold them all and you pick one. Whichever one is the longest would win, or would be the one chosen. But you don't have to use sticks. You can put names in a hat. And you just pick from a hat.
A
a quarter, flip a coin, something like that. Okay, all that could be used in regards to a qur'ah. In regards to a qur'ah. طيب. With regards to the adhan, وَهُوَ 15 جُمْلَةً. The adhan is 15 sentences. Who knows the adhan? Who can count off 15 sentences with the adhan? Anyone? MashaAllah. No one? Ya ikhwan. Do you know the adhan? طيب. شوية. Let's count. طيب. شوية يا شيخ. One sentence at a time. Allahu Akbar. Aywa. Aywa.
Again, Allahu Akbar.
4 times?
Yes. 4 times.
4 times? Okay. I'll just...
La ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah.
From the beginning, let's count it.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
That's 4.
La ilaha. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. وأشهد أن محمد.
لا يا شيخ أذان مو إقامة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح.
يا شيخ. يا شيخ. تفضل. Ahsant. 15. Those are 15 sentences. So the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, huwa 15 jumlatan. There are 15 sentences. Like the young brother just mentioned, those are the 15 sentences in the adhan. Yurattiluha. Now, if you look through some of the books of the fuqaha from the qudama, you might find different variances or variations of the adhan. But in general, this is what the school of Imam Ahmed, his school of jurisprudence, this is the adhan that is known by a majority of the Muslims. This is the adhan that is known. Yurattiluha ala uluwin. So when a person is reciting or saying the adhan, they say it in a way that is nice, loud, and they are usually in a high place. The purpose of them being in a high place during that time is so that everyone can hear them. However, right now we have what? We have microphones, so on and so forth. But there's also sunnah for that person to be mutatahirun, that person to be in a state of purification. Mustaqbil al-qibla, and they should be facing the qibla when they are calling the adhan. Ja'ilan isba'ihi fi udunayhi, and putting his fingers in his ears like this. طيب. غير مستدير. And when they are calling the adhan, they should not be calling the adhan in a circle. In other words, they should not stand in a circle and call the adhan going in a circle. You've probably never seen this. I haven't seen it either, but obviously some people used to do that. Call it in a circle. ملتفتا في الحيعلة يمينا وشمالا. And when they say حي على الصلاة, they will turn to their right. حي على الفلاح, and they will turn to their left. Turning to their right and to their left and to the left. This is called the حيعلة. الحيعلة. And what this means is حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. طيب. قائلا بعدهما في أذان الصبح. When a person is also calling the adhan for fajr, for the adhan of fajr, after they finish saying hayya ala salah, hayya ala al-falah, when they finish that, they say as-salatu khayrun min al-nawm. As-salatu khayrun min al-nawm. This means that the salah is better than sleeping. And this is said in the morning for fajr. When they call the adhan for fajr, when they say hayya ala salah, this means come for the prayer. Hayya ala al-falah, come to success. As-salatu khayrun min al-nawm. that the salat is better than sleeping. The salat is better than sleeping. Marratain. And they are to say this 2 times. So this is with regards to the iqamah. As it relates to this is with regards to the adhan. We just finished discussing the adhan. With regards to the iqamah, then they are ihda asharata sentences. There are 11 sentences. Give us the sentences for the iqamah. By Sheikh.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala al-falah. Qad qamat as-salat. Qad qamat as-salat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Ahsant. Barakallahu feek. With regards to the iqamah, yahduruha. Al-ulama, they say yahduruha, meaning that the iqamah should be called very fast. It should be called fast. Not like the adhan. The adhan, so they mention, why is the adhan slow and why is the iqamah fast? The ulama, they mention that the adhan is called slow because when it's slow and it's loud, the chances of people hearing it are greater. Whereas when it's low, the iqamah is low, it's not made for the masses to hear, it's for the people that are in attendance to the salah. Now you have to understand, this is assuming you're in a Muslim country or in a place here and you have the microphones outside for people to hear the adhan. If it's slow, the chances of hearing it are a lot better, right? As opposed to if it's very fast and quick, then people may miss it. So then, يُقِيمُ مَنْ أَدَّنَ فِي مَكَانِهِ إِنْ سَهُلَ. Whoever called the adhan generally is the one who calls the iqamah or the iqamah. When the person that calls the iqamah, he should call the iqamah in the place that he called the adhan. He should, if it's easy. There's another thing that it is also permissible. It's permissible that if a person calls the adhan, it is also permissible for someone else to call the iqamah. Even though it's mustahab, it's recommended that the one who calls the adhan is the same person who calls the iqamah. However, it's not a condition. It is not a condition. However, it is recommended. Okay? The adhan and the iqamah is not correct unless it is murattiban. Yani it has to be in order. So you cannot start off the adhan or the iqamah calling it out of order. You cannot say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. You can't do that. It has to be in order. Mutawaliyan, one after another, min adalin walau mulhanan aw malhunan. With regards to the adhan and the iqamah, the one who is calling it cannot be a fasiq, cannot be a person who is an open, sinful Muslim. It is not permissible for this person to call the adhan nor the iqamah. Walau mulahanan, if a person makes a mistake, mulahan, in the adhan or the iqamah, it is okay. The mistake, for example, if they make a mistake, i'rabiyan. For example, if they say Allahu Akbar, instead of saying Allahu Akbar, they say Allaha Akbar. This changes the grammar, but it doesn't necessarily change the meaning. So therefore, mashiha, even though it's a khata, even though it is not correct, but mashiha. However, if the person now changes the meaning, if they change the meaning by saying something like Allahu Akbar, this changes the meaning, because now what you did was ask a question. Is Allah the greatest? Allahu Akbar? Do you understand? If you change the meaning, if you change the meaning, in this case, this is batil. But if you make grammatical or i'rab mistakes when you're calling the adhan or the iqamah and it doesn't change the meaning, la ba'as. Even though it's a mistake, try to fix it, but it doesn't nullify it. It doesn't nullify it. طيب. The adhan in the iqama yujzi'u min mumayyiz. It is okay for a child that is mumayyiz, this baligh, reached the age of puberty, or even if they mean by mumayyiz here, they haven't quite reached the age of puberty, but they are able to make a distinction. It is permissible for them to call the adhan. وَيُبْطِلُهُمَا فَصْلٌ كَثِيرٌ. The things that nullify a person's adhan and iqama is a faslun kathir, or faslun kathir. For example, a person is calling the adhan. They say, Allahu Akbar. And then they walk away, get on their phone real quick, put the phone down, and they continue. And there's a long gap between that. This will nullify that adhan. Likewise, yasirru muharramun. Even if there's a small gap, but you say something that is impermissible. Say, for example, you start off Allahu Akbar, and you turn to someone and you curse them out. You curse them out, or you talk bad about someone and you get back to calling the adhan. This is not mayajuz. This is impermissible, and this will likewise nullify your adhan. وَلَا يُجْزِئُ قَبْلَ الْوَقْتِ إِلَّا فَجْرَ بَعْدَ نِصْفَ اللَّيْلِ. And that the adhan is not permissible to be called before the time of the salah, except for Salatul Fajr, after Muntasaf al-Layl, after the middle of the night. Since he mentions the middle of the night, I have a question. What is the middle of the night? Is it midnight? Does anyone, what's the middle of the night? The middle of the night. 12 o'clock. Right. Do you agree with him? Isha is the middle of the night? Huh?
Middle of the night is when you divide between Maghrib time and Fajr time.
Ahsant. Then, the middle of the night is when you divide between Salatul Maghrib, because in Islam, the night comes before the day. So then, as soon as Salatul Maghrib comes in, this marks the beginning of the night. It goes all the way up until Fajr. So if a person wanted to know Muntasaf al-Layl, the middle of the night, is the time between Salatul Maghrib and Salatul Isha, or Salatul Maghrib and Salatul Fajr, and they divide that time in half, that is Muntasaf al-Layl. That is the middle of the night. And if you know the middle of the night, it's also easy to find out the last third. It's also easy to find the last third. طيب. وَيُسَنُّ جُلُوسُهُ بَعْدَ أَذَانَ الْمَغْرِبِ يَسِيرًا. There's also sunnah for the one, once they call the adhan for Salatul Maghrib, then they should sit for a little while or briefly before they call the iqamah. And the reason why this is mentioned, because there's some belief during that time, is that during Salatul Maghrib, people will call the adhan and the iqamah right away. We don't see that here, but I'm sure in some places people may do that. They call the adhan and the iqamah right away for Salatul Maghrib. وَمَنْ جَمَعَ أو قضى الفوائت أذن للأولى ثم أقام لكل فريضة. طيب. So then the Shaykh rahimahullah, he says, whoever is combining their salah or making up salawat that they missed, whoever is combining the salah or making up the prayers that they missed, أذن للأولى. They call the adhan for the first salah, and then they call the iqamah for every salah after that. Is that clear or is not clear? Do I have to explain that? I'll explain it anyway.
If you combine Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, call one of them.
Yes and no.
I mean, I thought that's what you just said.
Okay, so I'll explain it again. What I said was, if a person is combining the salah, let's say for example they're combining Dhuhr and Asr, right? So they're combining Dhuhr and Asr during the time of Asr or during the time of Dhuhr. Right. They will call one adhan. After they call that one adhan, then they will have two iqamas for each salah. Right. Okay.
That's what I just said.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. But then there was something else I said too. Qada al-fawaid. If a person missed Let's say, for example, a person slept all day and woke up during the time of Isha. Now they have to qada al-fawaid. They have to make up. Let's say they were passed out in the morning and they woke up in the afternoon. They have to make up, for example, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. They have to make up all of these salawat. So here in this case, they will make one adhan for the first salat that they missed, and they will call the iqamah for each one in between. Is that clear?
You have to make that adhan.
Yani sunnah. Laysa bi wajib. Yani the adhan, as we mentioned before you came here, the adhan is fardu kifaya. What this means is, if the adhan is established in the city that you live in, that it's not obligatory for every person or every group to establish the iqamah or the adhan if it was established in that time period or in that particular area. Okay? This is what fardu kifaya here means. Now, having said that, this doesn't mean that, well, since they call it at that masjid, we're not going to call it here. Doesn't mean that. Okay?
How about if you can hear it?
If you can hear what?
The adhan.
From another masjid?
Well, I'm saying you missed the salat. You didn't pray at home. I mean, you didn't pray at the masjid, but you heard the adhan. It was close enough to the masjid when you heard the adhan.
So what are you saying? What's the question?
If you pray on your own, would you have to call the adhan?
So some of the ulama mentioned, and one of the conditions that were mentioned in the beginning was the adhan is established lil-rijal. So some of the ulama mentioned when they say al-rijal is jami', plural, which means that the adhan should be established when there's a congregation. The adhan should be established when there's a congregation. If there's a person praying munfarid by themselves, then it's not necessarily an obligation that that person calls the adhan or the iqamah. And Allah Ta'ala alam. This is a position that some of the ulama hold. I'm sure there's some khilaf on it, but in this book here, Zaad Al-Mustaq'ni, they mention al-rijal. Al-rijal meaning plural for men or men. And Allah knows best.
You said also for women, they didn't have to call.
Yes, the women do not have to call the... There's some khilaf on that as well. But the position of many of the... actually, I wrote that down. لَيْسَ عَلَى النِّسَاء أَذَانٌ وَلَا إِقَامَةٌ كَذَلِكَ قَالَ Ibn Umar. With regards to women not calling the adhan and the iqamah, some of the scholars of the past from the companions that held that position was Ibn Umar, wa Anas ibn Malik, wa Sa'id ibn Musayyib, wa Hasan al-Basri, wa Ibn Sirin, wa Sufyan al-Thawri. They all held the position that a woman does not call the adhan nor the iqamah, and Allah Ta'ala a'lam, there's some difference of opinion with regards to that. طيب. وَيُسَنُّ لِسَامِعِهِ مُتَابَعَتُهُ سِرًّا. If a person hears someone calling the adhan, it is sunnah for that person to repeat مِثْلَ مَا قَالَ مُؤَذِّنٌ, to repeat what they heard from the mu'adhin. Whatever the mu'adhin say, then they say, and they repeat it sirran, yani to themselves. وَحَوْقَلَتُهُ فِي الْحَيْعَلَةِ. And when the person or the mu'adhin is saying hayya ala salah, then the person that is listening says la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So when they say hayya ala salah, come to the prayer, then the one who is listening to it, he says there's no might nor power except for Allah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. أيوة هكذا يقال.
That's a beautiful Arabic.
It's called حوقلته في الحيعلة. حيعلة بالعين. أيوة. وقوله بعد فراغه. Also with regards to الصلاة خير من النوم, they call it تثويب. وَقَوْلُهُ بَعْدَ فِرَاغِهِ. When a person finishes the adhan, then there's a dua to make. Allahumma rabba hadhihi ad-da'wa at-tamati was-salati al-qa'imati ati Muhammadan wasilata wal-fadilata وَبَعَثَهُ مَقَامًا مَحْمُودًا الَّذِي وَعَدْتَهُ. This is a dua that is famous. This is a dua that is made after a person listens to the adhan. Does anyone know the translation of this? طيب. Allahumma Rabb hadhihi ad-da'wa. O Allah, the Lord of this call, the Lord of this complete call, was Salat al-Qa'imah, the Salat that has been established. Ati Muhammadin, give the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam al-wasilata wal-fadilata wa ba'athhu maqaman mahmud, and give him a high station. Alladhi wa'adta, give him a high station, that which you have promised him. Now, this is a rough translation. I'm sure you can find this somewhere in the Fortress of the Muslim. If you have the Arabic, it will be Husnul Muslim. I think there are other books. I think the Sheikh, this is in his book, isn't it? Which one? Probably there's a translation from Sheikh Abdul Rauf Shakir, Mornings and Evenings. There's a book that should be in there. The translation of it is probably better than what I just said. But inshallah ta'ala, is something that is beneficial. One of the things about our religion, there are tons of ad'iyah, there are tons of dua that we can make that will aid us throughout the course of our days. And it's something that is simple that you can get the reward for. Any questions about this? Nah, tfaddal.
For Salat al-Fajr, Salat al-Qa'im, and now, right? Being that you said normally, especially in Muslim countries, we call two adhans, right? Do you say it in both adhans, or
Do the mu'adhin say it in both of the adhans?
what's the norm?
Yeah, so what I read in that is that you would usually call it for both. As-salatu khayrun min an-nawm. No.
If you only call one, you should say it.
You should, yes. However, there's some difference in that too, but majority, from what I've experienced and what I've seen and what I've read, you call it. Inshallah. Any other questions? No, tfaddal.
Why are we saying la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah?
Why are we saying this? You said why? Allahu Alam. Allahu Alam. I have to look it up, inshallah, as the why part. No one has ever asked me, why do you say that? Allahu Alam. Why do we say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar 4 times for the event? Why is it 4 times? Why isn't it 3 times? Why isn't it 2 times? Why isn't it 1 time? Allahu Alam. But I'll look that up and see if I can find the nice answer for that, and I'll get back to you. If I can't find it, I'll say Allah knows best. Khalas? Anything else? Huh? Fadl.
When you say that the mu'adhin repeats, says, hayya ala salat, right? And then you say there's no power and stuff with the law.
Right.
What about hayya ala salat?
Same thing. Same thing. Yeah, I'm sorry. Same thing. When the mu'adhin says, hayya ala salat, hayya ala al-falah, then the one who hears it says, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah.
It's self-explanatory. Hayya ala salam means let's come to the prayer. And then when you say there is no power, there is no la hawla wa la quwwata, there is no, I guess, means to get to the prayer, only by the aid and by the help of Allah. So it's kind of self-explanatory. I will
Allah.
get to the prayer only if Allah helps me. Maybe.
I mean, if you say so.
Bring some text with
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you say so, sounds good. I'm saying, listen, it sounds good, but the question should be, is there a legislative reason for saying that? Then we have to go look it up. Let's find out. It's not hard. We look it up. If you can't find out, we say Allah knows best. Allah knows best. If we can find something, say yes. We found narrations that say this is why they say it. That's easy. La haraj. Any other questions? Huh? Khalas. We'll start with that, inshallah. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.